I believe that one of the essential principles of wisdom is to refrain from verbal threats or insults.
When someone tries to publicly humiliate you, they aren't just attacking you. They are performing a social execution. They are trying to murder your identity in front of a crowd. You know the feeling. The heat that crawls up your neck. The sudden, crushing silence of the room. The feeling that you are shrinking while everyone else becomes a giant. Your biology screams at you to react, to defend yourself, to explain, to frantically fight back, to prove you aren't what they say you are. But here is the brutal truth. The moment you react, you die. The moment you accept their frame and play their game, you have already lost. You are a puppet dancing on their strings. But what if you didn't? What if their attack was the very thing that made you powerful? What if their attempt at public execution was the greatest strategic gift they could ever give you? There is a method to this, a dark art of psychological reversal. Once you learn it, you will never feel the sting of shame again. You will only feel the rush of power. The first step is to realize their attack has nothing to do with you. Nothing. A powerful person does not need to make others feel small. Only a desperate person does. When they attack you, they are confessing their own insecurity. They are revealing that they see you as a threat that needs to be neutralized. They are afraid of you. Once you see their attack not as a verdict on your worth, but as a symptom of their weakness, the heat on your neck vanishes. You stop being the victim in their play. You become the observer. And the observer is the most dangerous person in the room. The void and the cold observer. The average person cannot tolerate silence. When an insult lands, it creates a vacuum. We are programmed to fill that vacuum with nervous laughter, justifications, or angry comebacks. We rush to close the gap because the gap feels dangerous. But for the strategist, the gap is not danger. The gap is a weapon. The most devastating thing you can do when someone tries to humiliate you is absolutely nothing. Not the nothing of a coward, but the nothing of a predator deciding if the prey is even worth the energy. This is the technique. They deliver the attack, the snide comment, the backhanded compliment. You do not blink. You do not look away. You do not frown. You go completely still. You look them directly in the eyes. Not with aggression. Aggression shows they got to you, but with dead eyes. A flat, bored, almost clinical stare. You pause. A deliberate 2-second pause. In those 2 seconds, the dynamic of the room shifts tectonically. The attacker expected a reaction, a quick volley. Instead, you've given them nothing but air, and their aggression now hangs in the room, exposed and ugly. You have refused to pick up the burden they threw at you, so it falls at their feet. You have become a black hole, absorbing their energy and giving nothing back. In that silence, their power evaporates. Let's use a scenario. You're in a meeting. A colleague interrupts you. Sorry, but looking at these numbers, it seems you've completely overlooked the Q3 data. It's a basic oversight that throws this whole timeline into question. The room is silent. Everyone is looking at you. The instinct is to get defensive. No, I didn't. This is a losing move. You sound weak. The Machiavellian response is the void. You hold that 2-second pause, your eyes locked on them, your expression unreadable. After the silence has amplified their aggression, you use mirroring. You reflect their attack back, stripped of its emotion. You speak slowly, calmly. So, to ensure I understand, your position is that the entire timeline is invalid because of what you perceive as an oversight. Notice the language, your position, what you perceive. You've framed their attack as a subjective opinion, not a fact. You haven't defended yourself. You have held up a mirror to their attack and forced them to look at it. You are no longer the defendant. You are the calm, rational arbiter of the conversation. The battle was won the moment you refused to feel the shame they intended for you. Psychological judo in the reverse spotlight. Having held the silence, you now speak, but you do not defend. Defense is an admission of guilt. Kings do not debate their innocence with peasants. Instead, you use psychological judo. You take the energy of their attack and pull it until they fall over. You treat their insult not as a fact to be debated, but as a behavior to be analyzed. You treat them like a patient who just had an outburst. You don't get angry at the patient. You get curious. Let's return to the meeting. Your colleague has accused you of a basic oversight. You've paused and mirrored. Now, you flip the microscope. You tilt your head slightly, maintaining that calm, detached curiosity. Help me understand your strategy in bringing this up in this specific forum, rather than discussing it privately. This question is a masterpiece of subtle aggression, packaged as professional curiosity. It implicitly frames him as unprofessional and unstrategic. It forces him to justify his methods. He can't admit his real intention. I wanted to make you look bad, so he must invent a reason. Every answer is a trap. If he says, "I thought it was important," you can reply, "Of course." For future reference, my door is always open for these checks before a client-facing meeting. It ensures we present a united front. You have just publicly coached him on professionalism. You are operating under the feigned assumption that he is a rational actor. This is the assumption principle. You force him to either live up to that impossible standard or have his true, malicious motives exposed by his inability to justify his actions. Another example. Someone says loudly, "I heard you had to sell your house. Tough break." The reactive response is to get flustered. The Machiavellian response. You smile calmly. That's an interesting thing to focus on. What is it about my personal life that you find so compelling? The spotlight is now blindingly on them. They are forced to justify their invasive comment. They will stammer. You have turned your attacker into a fascinating case study in social ineptitude. You are not the victim on the stage. You are the psychologist analyzing the patient. The audience and the triangulation. Stare shame is a performance. The attacker doesn't care about you. They care about the crowd. They are leveraging the power of the group to amplify their attack. The audience is their weapon. Your job is not to win over the attacker. Your job is to win the crowd. But you don't win them with pleas for sympathy. People despise victims. It's a harsh evolutionary truth. People worship strength and control. When you remain calm while being attacked, the crowd instinctively shifts to your side. This is where you use the triangulation stare. They insult you. You don't look at them. You briefly look at a respected third party in the group. You make eye contact and give a tiny, subtle smirk. A look that says, "Can you believe this guy?" You share a secret joke with the audience at the attacker's expense. You have just ostracized them. You've signaled to the tribe. He is not one of us. He's trying too hard. And in the laws of power, trying too hard is the ultimate sin. You must execute this with surgical precision. This is not about starting a smear campaign later. That is amateur work. This is about subtly fracturing their social support in the moment. After the meeting, you can approach an influential colleague, not as a victim, but as a fellow strategist. Can I get your read on something? I'm deconstructing the dynamics in that meeting. When John brought up the data, his approach seemed unusually confrontational. Did his delivery strike you as effective? You aren't asking if it was mean. You're asking if it was competent. You invite them to critique his judgment, not just his ethics. They will likely agree it was out of line. You have just created an ally and rewritten the narrative. John is no longer the sharp-eyed critic. He is the loose cannon who disrupts team cohesion. Intellectual annihilation, Twites. The attack targets your competence directly. A simple defense is not enough. You must demonstrate such overwhelming superiority that their critique is rendered amateurish. This is the tactic of information overload, a crushing deluge of information designed to induce cognitive shutdown. Back to the meeting. John accused you of a basic oversight on Q3 logistics data. You've paused, you've mirrored, you've questioned his motive. Now you pivot. Your tone shifts from calm inquiry to that of a passionate expert. Excellent point, John, and I'm glad we can unpack the complexity here. The raw Q3 data, viewed in isolation, does suggest a delay. However, that data doesn't account for the secondary sourcing protocol we activated on August 10th, which mitigates 60% of that risk, as detailed in Appendix B. Furthermore, that raw data uses a standard deviation model that's historically inaccurate for peak season. We've replaced it with a Monte Carlo simulation running 10,000 iterations, cross-referenced against the Drury World Container Index and last year's weather analytics for the South China Sea. The output shows a 92% confidence interval for on-time delivery. So while your concern is valid from a surface-level read, the multivariant risk model tells a much more accurate story. You deliver this without taking a breath, your eyes locked on him. He has been buried under an avalanche of specifics. He almost certainly hasn't read Appendix B or knows what a Monte Carlo simulation is. To challenge you would be to expose his own ignorance. He has been intellectually annihilated. The audience didn't follow the details. They don't need to. They understood one thing. You are in absolute command. True Machiavellian power is not built on bluffs, but on a foundation of superior preparation. You wanted a detail, John? Here are 1,000 details. Drown in them. The sugar bread and the whip. This is a long-term strategy for conditioning a recurring shamer, a toxic colleague or family member. It is a form of psychological programming we call the sugar bread and whip. The principle is to alternate between rewarding their ego when they behave and punishing them with cold indifference when they revert. First, the sugar bread. When the shamer does something acceptable, you provide a small, public, targeted dose of ego-feeding praise. Your undermining colleague, Mark, presents a decent chart. You jump in. That's a very clear visualization, Mark. Good work. It is unexpected, and, for someone driven by insecurity, intensely gratifying. You are rewarding a specific behavior. Now, the whip. The next time Mark tries to undermine you, your engagement drops to absolute zero. You stop mid-sentence, give him a flat, emotionless look, and then turn your attention to someone else. You act as if he has ceased to exist. An email attack goes unanswered, forever. This withdrawal, is a far more powerful punishment than any angry retort. Anger signals they affected you. Indifference signals they are irrelevant. By consistently applying this pattern, you train them. They subconsciously learned that being agreeable with you leads to validation, while attacking you leads to the deeply unpleasant feeling of being rendered invisible. This is most effective on those driven by ego and external validation. Against another master, they will see the game. For them, you need a different strategy: the nuclear option. Some attacks are so far outside the lines that to engage is to legitimize them. In these cases, the response is not a clever counter move, but a decisive, final declaration of power. This is the boundary statement, paired with the ultimate move: strategic disappearance. The boundary statement is not a request. It is a unilateral declaration of what you will not tolerate, delivered with ice-cold finality. A colleague's jokes have become personal insults. You find them in a semi-private setting. You say, with a dead-flat intonation, "Your comments about my personal life are unprofessional." That stops now. No, I feel. No, please. You are not explaining your feelings. You are issuing a command. Immediately after, you withdraw. You end the conversation. You physically walk away. You hang up. You leave the meeting. The consequence for crossing your boundary is the immediate and total loss of access to you. This is not the emotional silent treatment. This is active non-existence. You are not just ignoring them, you are deleting them from your reality. You render them impotent. Their insults echo in an empty room. You have fortified your own sovereignty. The director's chair. For too long, you have been an actor in someone else's play. They handed you a script that said you were the victim, the fool. The entire philosophy we have explored is about one thing: throwing that script away and seizing the director's chair. The world is a theater of power. Most people are actors reciting lines, enslaved by their own predictable emotions. But the strategist is different. The strategist understands that an attack is not a threat. It is an opportunity. It is an intelligence briefing on your enemy's weaknesses. By mastering the cold observer, you learned to detach. With psychological judo, you turned their weapon on them. You dismantled their power base with the audience and established authority with intellectual annihilation. You conditioned their behavior with the whip and declared your sovereignty with the nuclear option. You stop being a pawn reacting to moves and become the player who controls the board. True power is not found in loudness, but in the cold calculation of your thoughts. It is about welcoming attacks, knowing that each one is a chance to demonstrate your superiority and turn the poison intended to destroy you into the source of your unshakable strength. Most people will watch this, nod, and go back to being a victim tomorrow. They are addicted to their own weakness, but you are still here. This was just the defense. What about the offense? What about the art of influence, of making people desperately want to follow you? That is a darker, deeper rabbit hole. If you are tired of the blue pill advice that tells you to be nice, if you are ready to understand the raw, unfiltered dynamics of human power, then you are in the right place. Join the order. Subscribe. We are building a sanctuary for the strong. Don't be left outside.